Muslim lands. People who have lived together for hundreds of years in peace. This is how we live together, because this is not a religious conflict. It has nothing to do with the difference of religion. Yes, we have a distinctly different religion than the Muslim people, but this was never an impediment to peace.
We believe in the same God.
We believe in the same God, and we live together, babysat each other's children. What happened? What changed? For hundreds of years we were living in peace, and the Jews had suffered in the Inquisition and Crusades in Europe, and the Muslim and Arab countries embraced us and gave us a home, and we flourished in every Arab and Muslim land, in Iran, in Iraq, in Tunisia, in Morocco, in Yemen, in Egypt. Where was a place that we didn't? We lived all together in peace. And in Palestine included under the Ottoman Empire, we didn't have to have human rights groups to protect us, because there was never a question of a necessity for human rights groups, because religion is not an impediment of our coexistence. Then a terrible tragedy befell us. A movement called Zionism. Zionism was a movement that was started by non-religious Jews. A movement that started by mostly atheists.
No matter Turkish, supposed to help
David Ben-Gurion, the first Israeli Prime Minister, reading the Declaration of Independence in 1948 with the picture of their leader, Theodor Herzl, and not one of them have their head covered. What a farce! If you would have a Christian country, won't you have a priest there? If you have a Muslim country, won't there be an Ayatollah, a sheikh, an imam? Yet this is what is Zionism, a farce, a hypocrisy. They hijacked and stole our name. They stole the Jewish identity, the Star of David, the name Israel, simply to legitimize an ersatz Judaism, a transformation from service to God, from subservience to God into nationalism. Unacceptable, totally unacceptable. And that is why every religious Jewish community around the world, invariably, the more the religious, the more they oppose the existence of the state of Israel, without question. In fact, you will find, as I carry always pictures with us, the hundreds of thousands of Jews in the streets of Jerusalem demonstrating against the existence of the state, in front of the White House, in front of the Capitol, in Montreal, Canada, in London, in New York City. Wherever you will have in a large Jewish community, a very religious community, they will invariably be opposed to the occupation, to the existence of the state of Israel, because it is antithetical, it is contradictory to what we are. Because we are Jews, we oppose the existence of the state. We are not to steal, not to kill. We are to be subservient to God. We are to keep the Sabbath. Look at that state. Cars going back and forth, breaching the laws of the Sabbath, of the Ten Commandments, eating non-kosher, scoffing, ridiculing the religious communities. Not only do they ridicule the religious communities, but they beat them, they assassinate them. We have pictures. Anybody could go to our site, except unfortunately Facebook has closed down our site. Children, young children, get beaten by their Israeli commandos, by their terrorists, by the army, the IDF. Young boys and girls, when they turn 17, become officially criminals because they refuse to serve in the IDF. Why do we refuse to serve? Because we're Jews. We have a right to serve God. Yet they take us and arrest us simply because we refuse to support. We refuse to serve that evil, that dancing, that celebrating at the suffering of others. Old men, these are young children, and old men get beaten, get arrested, get assassinated. Not only 73 years of the existence of the state, but in the 1920s, the first famous martyr was a very famous person, a diplomat from Denmark, Dr. Dahan, Jacob Yisroel Dahan, of blessed memory, may his blood be avenged. Old men are brutally beaten. Do we have guns? Are we terrorists? No, none of us carry guns. Our history is clear for anybody to see. Yet we are brutally beaten and attacked in the city of Jerusalem, in the holy city of Al-Quds, because we refuse to accept this rebellion against God called the Zionist State of Israel. We refuse to stand there and celebrate that farce and are committing crimes that the Satan commits. They go and look at the difference between our communities and the Zionists. No modesty, the profanity that pours from their mouths. You won't want your children to hear. They have no God as a rule. They have no God as a moral rule to show them what to do, so they're ready to sacrifice on the altar of Zionism any human life that stands in its way, whether it is a Muslim or Jew, without any compunctions. People get murdered. And if you call them on that, they say, oh, you're anti-Semitic. Oh, you're a self-hating Jew. How dare they? The ones who exacerbate anti-Semitism around the world, who has caused years and years of bloodshed, of Palestinian and Jewish blood. Their hands are covered in blood. We've been living together so how many hundreds of years in peace and harmony as any neighborhood would have. It is anything for you can ask any old Arab or Muslim person. Everybody will tell you the same story, how we lived in peace. They'll tell you anecdotes of how they helped their Jewish neighbors, and the Jews will talk about how they helped their Arab and Muslim neighbors and how they yearn to return to that time in history. Well, it's not so far off. This Zionism is a mere 100-odd years. The state is a mere 73 years. Many of our old people, of our elders, remember the time that we lived together. It's not so far off. There's live testaments. Anybody in any Arab or Muslim country will talk about they have nothing against Jews. This conflict is not a religious conflict. It's not Jew against Arab. It's not Arab against Jew. It's not Muslim against Jew. It's Zionism against Jew and Arab. It's Zionism against Jew and Muslim. It's Zionism against God. What people call human rights, we call godliness. We've been suffering for over 100 years by this breach of our state, of our land, of the Holy Land, the breach of the indigenous populace. The largest community was Muslim, the second was Christian, and then there was a smaller community of Jews. We lived in peace. We lived in peace. We do not get the So what do you think the Zionists did to him? They threw acid in his face and they blinded him in one able to see from his other eye. Going along with the system of Zionism, not only do they ridicule us, but they attack us without any respect for scholars, for Judaism. They dig up graves for archaeological purposes when the Torah says that the body is holy. They make autopsies, and we have to have people standing by the bedside of a person who passes away, because if not, they'll cut him up to study the parts, because they have no respect for the Torah. We suffer in every means, in every issue of Judaism. They try to break the backbone of the Jewish community, yet they dare tell the world that they are the heroes of Judaism and they're there to protect the Jews. May God save us from their hands. We've been suffering so long. We cry and we hurt with the Palestinian people. We are humiliated. We are frustrated because our voices are not heard. When we raise our voices, they stifle it. They challenge any newspaper or any news outlet that if you report the news, you'll be labeled anti-Semitic. They challenge anybody that they'll be permanently branded as an anti-Semite. And how ironic is that? When there's been a wall built between the Jewish people and the Muslims because of Zionism. A wall that goes to the sky, that we can't breach it because Zionism has created a mistrust of Jews. Zionism has unfortunately confused the two issues. Judaism, this holiness, which means to be subservient to God and show compassion. Just as God is compassionate, you should be compassionate. The Torah tells us that we must show gratitude for good done to us. The Muslim and Arab lands provided for us a home. We are required to show gratitude, and we do, and we teach our children as such. And Zionism comes along with their chutzpah, with their audacity, with their hubris, and they attack the Muslims and they say that they hate the Jews. How dare they? What nerve, what audacity! We will not be silent with God's help. We will speak up and say that we embrace our Palestinian brothers and sisters, that we are thankful for the Muslim lands because they were our patrons, our safe haven.
One thing to tell you.
We want you to know.
Go back
The Islamic Republic of Iran is very careful not to say Jews. They say the Zionist state of Israel because they were clear. The Ayatollah Khomeini clearly stated that he has nothing against Jews, and Judaism is a holy religion. Their problem is with the occupation. Their problem is with Zionism and Zionism only. And that is why Israel tries to vilify the Islamic Republic of Iran, simply because they undermine their legitimacy of the state of Israel, because they clearly state we have nothing against Jews. And that is the fact. That is the history. We don't have a religious conflict. And we pray to God that with his compassion, he should bring a speedy and peaceful removal of this impediment to peace called the Zionist state of Israel. They should remove this selfish, flawed political movement started by non-religious Jews. This should be removed sooner nowadays, God, with his compassion.
God is not with you.
In the Torah it says, why are you rebelling against me? It will not be successful. This state of Israel will end. It will end. We pray to God it should end speedily and peacefully sooner nowadays, so we can turn to our Palestinian brethren. And we can tell them, here is back your respect, your homes. We can't unfortunately bring back the dead, but at least God, with his compassion, will return to them their land. And we can once again live together as we've had for these hundreds and hundreds of years in peace and harmony. God should help. Yes, yes. Turn to a Zionist. Every time they will invariably say that Hitler should have killed us like they killed my grandparents. You'll hear it from every anti-Zionist. Not every Zionist. But that's a mantra. They have no compunctions to come to us when we lost all our relatives. My grandparents died in Auschwitz. My father escaped from the Nazis. And they have the audacity to come to us and say Hitler should have wiped us out. You know why they say that? Because that is what they're taught, to hate a religious Jew. That is what Zionism is. It's a rebellion against God. They have no moral limits because they want to reach their goal, which is evil, an occupation of the Holy Land, an occupation of the Palestinians who are our brethren, who we lived together for hundreds of years in peace, who provided a home for us. So our message is, God says, why are you rebelling against me? It will not be successful. The state will end. The state of Israel will end. We only pray to God, and we urge everybody to pray that He should bring a speedy and peaceful dismantlement and end of the occupation of the Zionist state of Israel in our lives soon. And we pray to God. We pray to God for the day when He will reveal His glory, when all humanity will serve Him in peace and harmony. We urge everybody to pray because ultimately it's in God's hand to bring an end to this occupation. At the same time, do not be intimidated. You are not an anti-Semite if you stand up for the Palestinian rights. You are not an anti-Semite when you urge your leaders, your presidents, your prime ministers, that they should stop being intimidated and they should speak up for what every logical human being understands. What is happening to the Palestinian people, and also what is happening to the Jews in Al-Quds in Jerusalem and throughout occupied Palestine. Stand up, speak up, and if people call you anti-Semitic, point to the hundreds of thousands of religious Jews who say because we are Jews, we oppose the state. And ask these people, how come the more the religious, the more anti-Zionist they are? So God help.
Zionism, no! The state of Israel, no! Judaism, yes! Zionism, no!
Back off. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Back off. Back off. Don't touch off. Back off. Back off. Back off. You touching him? Why are you touching him?
Because I'm practicing my First Amendment right on this color.
You got my shield. Back off. I'm asking you to give me some space.
He's not in his face.
Do you not see where I am?
No, I do you not see where I am?
Really?
I have video footage.
This man's not wearing a mask and you're talking about space. You know what?
Come on now.
Wow. Oh, all right.
Y'all have to be more educated than that.
The many times that we've seen you around, come on. It's not even that serious. We were engaging in a dialogue.
Dialogues are great. It's quintessential America.
Exactly. Can you explain to him it's a First Amendment right for me to film wherever I want to?
No. And what I'm appreciating in advance, and I'm hoping that you follow through on it, is that there has to be safety and space. Like I'm talking and she talks to me, but there has to be a safety and space. And so if the officer is telling you that you're cutting into a space, then you should respect that.
I was not in a space.
And I'm thanking you in
He
advance.
stepped up to me. I have it on film.
All right, that's fine. And it's good. That's right. My guys have films too. They got that. Please, make sure it's turn it, T-U-R-N-E-R. Turn it. Absolutely. Right. And I appreciate it. Right?
We gotta get some video. Great people. I heard they got married. You got married? Oh my God, look at this. Look at that guy. Oh, this guy's just I know exactly what this guy's It's like submit to each one. They're like Sue animals. To me, they look like Sue animals. Look at this guy. Look at the guys.
I apologize for Rabbi Beck dying. I apologize.
There's actually a Muslim guy that's Can you stop talking?
I think you need a new record. No, but we're not. Cycle Lake Trillin. Cycle Lake Trillin. Hey.
Doesn't look like it.
I can't though. They don't let me. I can't. They don't let me.
There's no other fun.
Not convinces over here. Yes. Oh, look at the guy in the middle. He's just chilling. He's just chilling. These guys are garbage. Garbage.
They are garbage. Yeah, I'll listen to you.
When Israel is attacked, the United States is attacked. And we always must remember that our Israeli brothers and sisters, they truly are the best example of democracy in the world. When we all think about what they present, what their democracy, the democracy of Israel actually presents, in a sea of countries that want to exterminate Israel. They openly want to exterminate it. They say it. Hamas wants to eliminate Jews, yet at the same time, there are politicians.
Let me just say, I said that everybody should let you speak, right? Everybody here wants to see the Palestinian people do well.
Why y'all kicking them out their houses and bringing Jewish people to their houses and saying you want more Jews? You want good for them, but you taking them out their camps and then bringing your people and saying you want peace?
Okay, let me ask.
Who the fuck does that?
Well, why are you throwing? We're talking. Why are you using that? Why are you using that?
No, I'm really getting mad.
I'm upset too. I have nieces and nephews that live there. That go and buy. Do you have family that live in Israel or in Palestine?
No.
Okay. So I have family that lives there. Okay, hold on. Okay, all right. So I feel you. So I feel you.
Can I please ask you a question? All right, how about the government of this country, right? Because you're Israeli, they say they stop for business. They come to your house, they take you out your house, and they bring their American people inside.
But let me ask.
What would you do?
Okay, but the question is, are we talking about the aftermath of right now, or you're not addressing the history of when Israel became a state and the Arabs?
But I'm asking, it's a simple question. It's a simple question.
The UN made it a state, bro. The UN made it a state. UN made it a state.
Y'all made it a state killing Palestinian people. Y'all were killing children.
Hold on.
We don't kill anybody, bro. Bro, look, we are the most peaceful country in the world.
But the Palestinians had the same opportunity.
I'm spreading love and light to everybody. But they bombed us first. They bombed. I got you. But do you know Hamas bombed first? Do you know Hamas bombed first?
20 million Jews.
Do you want to listen for a second? Do you know a 6-year-old boy was killed first by a bomb that was sent by Hamas first? It all started with Hamas. You know why? Because Hamas is bombing between schools. All lives matter. You know that, bro. Come on, let me just say one thing. You want to listen? You want to listen one thing? Do you want to listen? I'm going to say one thing. Can I say one thing? I have a question. It started, no, we did not start it. Basically like this. These guys are shooting bombs from between houses and children's schools. So what are we supposed to do? That's a fact.
Okay, but the Israelis gave it back. The Israelis gave back Gaza and all they get is bombs.
You should have never took it in the first place.
You know what? I hope they take it back. And they might take it back because they don't know how to behave.
So you want them to take it back. So you
because of the bombs.
You're talking about you want peace, but you keep going back to the same shit.
But they gave it to them for peace, and what do they do?
It was theirs in the first place.
What Palestine? What is Palestine?
You gonna give back to
Israel is our state and is our land. You guys don't want to live peacefully here? We're going to be the forever. You guys got to accept that. We will be the forever. We want you to...
Bro, I think, you know what? I think you have a lot of passion, and you probably...
Don't have one arm in the world and give a warning before he shoots. 30 minutes before he shoots, he warned. Answer one question.
Hold on, no. What's the question? The Israeli goes out of their way not to kill.
I'm about to pull up a recording of a senior...
If you're going to speak, if you're going to talk one at a time.
If Israel wanted to, they could make Palestine...
Yo, I have a recording right now of a senior Hamas official saying, I don't care if the kids die. Jews gotta die. Bro, this is a fact. Search it up. Search it up.
Just one person.
Search it up.
One person makes it okay. One person.
It's better